I'll tell you, this is a very, very special day, and Michelle, you did a tremendous job getting all the photos of your dad, and I think people will reminisce about all the great memories. And after the event, you're more than welcome to stay to enjoy coffee and Danish and reminisce and see the great photo shots. Sitting up on stage with me, obviously, is Andrew and Michelle from the Dimauro family. I'd also like to, before I go into my remarks, City Councilor Tom Ash is here. Councilor Ash, thank you very much for being here. City Councilor Bud Williams is also here. And I hope everything's okay with City Councilwoman Cateri Walsh. She sort of co-chaired this with me and worked very, very hard on it. I also have some committee members that are here. Let me introduce the committee members all, and if you're here, please stand, and we might have some remarks also stated. These are the Mayor, Ted Dimauro Tribute Committee members. As I indicated, City Councilor Cateri Walsh, Frank Fortesteri. Frank must have a funeral he has to do. Dan Walsh, Peter Carando, City Councilor Brian Santinello, Bishop Bryant Robinson, Peggy Lynch, Raymond Jordan, Attorney John Leibel. Bill Foley is here. Bill, where's Bill? Bill, thank you for serving on the committee. Bill was Chief of Staff to Teddy at Savas now. Tony Signoli, who did a great eulogy for Teddy. The father of our new district attorney, Anthony Glenn, I did that exactly for you. Frank Gallooni, who worked very, very closely helping people out at MCBI.
I used to be known as Frank Gallooni. I'm the father of
I gave you the lead in, Frank. And Patty Carrera, who was a former school committee member, served on this board. I also want to thank John Abbott and Steve Carey, who have done a great, great job with Focus Springfield, as with Andy Doty, my IT director. I have to say there's many things that can be said about former Mayor Ted Dimauro. And I know when I became mayor, we would talk every other month, but he'd sent me a wonderful note about people will have the ideas, the second coming of sliced bread. He'd say, Don, second coming of sliced bread. He goes, if it's so, I can't say what he told me on phone, but if it's so good, you tell them to put it in writing. And he said, many a times you'll never get anything in writing. As we move forward, Mayor Dimauro has an outstanding legacy, not only to neighborhoods, but he was really at the forefront of the skyline of downtown. He negotiated this contract, probably one of the best contracts in the country, under the committee, many of them that were around him, under immense pressure from local TV stations. At the time, News 22 with Bill Putnam did not want cable TV here, nor did Gil Leftovich from Channel 40. So immense pressure, he negotiated this. So he was an outstanding attorney, outstanding mayor. He negotiated community. He wanted community access for everyone, no matter what creed, color, or background. And he put that in the contract, and today we have his communication center here right in the heart of downtown, right in the corner of Main State and Main Street, not too far away where his law offices were. He negotiated the senior discount. The senior discount. People forget that when they move forward. So we felt it was a fitting tribute to call this the Mayor Theodore Dimauro Communication Center right in the heart of downtown. He loved his city and he loved his family so much. And as we continue to move forward, it's always important that we remember and respect our history. And Ted Dimauro was a shining light in the city of Springfield. I'm honored that we've been able to do this for Ted and the family, much deserved moving forward. And I wish your mom good health also. I'd like to do this if possible. We have a couple of committee members that are here, and I'd love to have them briefly say a few words before we close with Andrew from the family perspective of what this means. So I see that Frank is here, and Tony and Bill is here. If you wouldn't mind, just a unique story, and that'd be great while we have everybody a captive audience here moving forward. Put your hands together, Frank Gallooni. He doesn't need a mic. He's got, come on up
no
here.
longer has a persona. I would just like to say that Teddy Dimauro truly was a pioneer, a person with great, great foresight. You know, we talk about assessing someone's time in office, and usually we talk about 20, 25 years before you really can identify specifically what contribution that person made. Well, the one contribution that very few people remember, that I talk about all the time, is what we did in the North End. What Teddy Dimauro did in the North End. You remember Moordrop Forge, Eastco Hand Tools. You remember the American Bosch. You remember Van Norman. You remember the Buxton plant. All of those facilities, at one point or another, as a result of an eroding economy, and China and Mexico, et cetera, went somewhere else. Teddy had foresight and recognized that 291, 391, 91 all had some kind of a nexus in that area, and said, Frank, someday that's going to be a huge business district. And I said, Teddy, come on. I mean, there's no way possible people will ever settle into that district. Look today at Bay State Medical and so many other entities. That is an absolutely beautiful reminiscence of who Teddy Dimauro was, foresight. And I think that's the one thing that great politicians always have, is the ability to look ahead and recognize that although I'm making impact today, it's really the impact of the next generation and generations to come. Just a lovely, lovely human being, one who loved family, loved God, was great with his church, was great with just everybody. He just loved everybody. And but you know, especially the fact that he was just a phenomenal mayor and a great human being. So that's my reminiscence.
Thank you,
of
Frank. Very well done. Bill Foley, who was Teddy's chief of staff. Bill Foley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Bill, that's right.
Ted was a great mentor for young people starting out in government. He was an excellent mentor and teacher for me personally. I often think of what would Ted do. He was very analytical. He was an excellent, excellent attorney. He saw the heart of the matter in business deals. He'd often make me sit and listen and not say a word fully, and then he'd quiz me on what was the right decision to make. But he served and selected very good people in government. And I have a short story to tell. As his chief of staff, Teddy would often, as Mayor Sarno gets, multiple invitations on a daily basis to represent give the greetings of the city, the key of the city. And at one December day, I was assigned the task of delegating to Pedge Lynch. Is Pedge here?
I don't see her. So, yeah.
Well, Pedge,
Get the tax rate ready.
she's getting the tax rate. Well, Pedgie had the unfortunate circumstance of being the low person on the totem pole in the office that day. And I assigned her to do a grip and grin at a ribbon cutting for a McDonald's in East Springfield. And Pedgie went begrudgingly, but she was attired in a very, very dapper women's business suit, a red business suit with black piping. She looked elegant. Unfortunately, she was confined to a convertible seated next to Mr. Santa Claus. And she came back to the office and she was, how shall I say, loquacious. She was profane. She was insane. Poor Teddy. Teddy thought he was going to witness the first murder in City Hall in room 1. Pedge chased me around the room. But he had a great kick out of it. And again, he was a wonderful mentor for me and for many others that served with him. Thank you.
Before Tony Signoli comes up, what a turnout of family members. Could you please stand, all the family of Ted Dimauro? Please stand. Please stand. And brothers, grandchildren, sisters, brothers. Tony?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, John, for putting all this together. You know, we talk about Ted Dimauro's face being in the skyline of the city of Springfield, but I think the mayor said it best, the impact on the neighborhoods. And the fact that we're here at the intersection of State and Main, in the center of the city. You know, I stopped by here last night just to look through the window and walk around, and you can just still feel Ted Dimauro walking around in a lot of approval of what's going on in the city of Springfield right now. To be here at this intersection, which is about to see so much rejuvenation of the city of Springfield, and the blocks behind us, in the South End that he loved. But I think of one story. When Teddy passed, I got a call from Boston Mayor Tom Menino. When Menino was still on the city council in Boston, they were looking at their cable contract, and he said to me, you know something, Tony? Ted Dimauro did such an incredible job, he and his administration, with that cable contract. It was the template that we used in Boston. And what amazed me, this was from Menino, a luminary national figure, the mayor of Massachusetts, as we used to like to call him. He said, because of what Ted Dimauro and his team did, we not only used some of that for Boston, but we were intrigued by the senior discount, and we were also fired up by something else. The way that Dimauro put that contract together, it would benefit the city of Springfield for decades and decades to come. And we know that that's the case. Look at this building. Look at the money that goes from the Cable Endowment Fund throughout the city of Springfield and the neighborhoods. That was Ted Dimauro, visionary. He thought about tomorrow, and he thought about today. Thank you very much for being here today.
Tony brought up another good aspect. He wanted to make sure that this contract kept giving back not only to the city, but to the neighborhood people, and the endowment fund, which we now call Focus Springfield, continues on the legacy because of Ted's foresight to be able to see that if you're gonna do business in my city, his city at the time, you're gonna make sure that you're gonna be respectful of each and every one of our residents and continue to give back. That's a legacy of Ted Dimauro. So at this point in time, Andrew and Michelle are here, and I'm sure that they can give some great stories, family stories of not only the family, but what the city meant to their dad. So without further ado, let's put your hands together for Andrew Dimauro.
Thank you, everyone, for coming today. It's a great turnout in honor of my father, our father, and had to write down a few words because this isn't normally my father would be great up here. He'd be right at home, but unfortunately that's not me, so we'll do our best. So on behalf of the entire Dimauro family, those with us and those deceased, we'd like to thank Mayor Sarno, thank the committee, and everyone else who helped make today a very special day for our family and for the entire city of Springfield. I'd like to pause briefly to thank a very special woman who could not join us today, but without whom my father would not have been the great man that he became. That woman is, of course, Ted's wife, our mother, Ann Dimauro. Thank you, Mom. We love you. Our father was a kind and caring person, as you've heard today. This was evident not only at our family gatherings and in private times, but also in his public life. Teddy truly had a passion for this city and all of its people. To this day, some 30 years after he left office, I still am reminded by people on the street of his kind acts and deeds, how he was one of the best mayors the city had in recent memory, and most of all, that he was just genuinely a good guy. So thus it's fitting that this tribute here, this beautiful studio and facility is dedicated in his memory. We have heard of the role our father played in bringing cable to the city of Springfield and the wonderful endowment that helped create this facility and hopefully allow many aspiring journalists and moviegoers to learn the trade right here. And perhaps, one day soon, we will view debates among the city's current and future leaders right here in the studio. And I'm sure when that day comes, our father will be tuning in to watch. So, Dad, thank you for all you did for us as a father, as a brother, as a cousin, friend, and all you did for the city of Springfield and its people. We love you.